Hello and welcome back to PRKD Media. Joining us today, we've got Darren Stace-Smith as we take a look into the big wet that happened down in Ballarat a couple of weeks ago. Joining me as well, Ashley Wiedner. How are we, guys?
Yeah, doing well, thanks. Thanks for having me on. Excited to do this.
Yeah, great to have you here, Darren. And it's going to be a fun one, I think. This Victoria Park tournament. First round we're going to see is on the advanced layout. As we look into Ryan Hart's bag, we're going to see a lot of his destroyers today. Ballista, his captain's Raptor, he does love to throw out there, and he will be putting, Kyle.
Absolutely. Budgie, very similar. You might notice through the round, he does throw right-handed and putt left-handed with those Nexus Fireflies, also throwing a bunch of T-bed threes and generally just a lot of Innova.
Right, and the left-handed bag of our third Ryan for the day, Ryan Michell, again, Destroyer's going to play a huge part in his round. We're going to see a lot of his buzzers. Anything else to add on that one, Kyle?
No, not much. Also be seeing a bit of that Paddy Robinson harp as his approach disc. But otherwise, we'll get straight into it with hole one. Is a 75-metre par 3, a fairly straightforward starting hole that all of you have played at Ballarat would know and love. Most of these guys will be wanting to start their round off with a birdie. Pipe the trees and see how they go.
Yeah, for sure. This morning, the first round, there wasn't too much wind up yet at Victoria Park, which is actually pretty rare. So let's see what the guys can do here.
Is it a big wet living up to its name pretty early on? He's turned it over and taken a bit of a tree kick there. He's done it all first up. Ryan Budge now, our second Ryan for the day. We get high and right, but filtering down a little for a putt.
Awesome to see a lefty on the feature card. We're taking over one by one, so look out for us.
Slowly but surely.
Half of the commentary team, 1/3 of the feature card. It's all happening.
It's very left-oriented, isn't it? There's as many lefties involved as we do Ryans.
Just getting caught up on one of those last trees there.
Looks like Ryan Hart didn't have much of a putt to run on the first hole there.
Budgie, a bit of a lofty bid, but just coming up a bit shy.
I think as we watch Budgie today, we should mention this round was filmed pre-FIFA Women's World Cup, so it's the glove approach to disc golf. We've probably got to say Mary Fowler maybe took the glove approach to sport from Budgie rather than the other way around, just so viewers are aware.
For sure. I have no doubt Mary Fowler's keeping tabs on what Ryan Budge is doing in Ballarat so we can push ourselves to the World Cup.
Well, they got to practice somewhere, Daz.
Not the start that our feature card was after.
As we move on to hole 2, it's a pretty straightforward 90-metre par 3. Your players will all be looking to push something as straight as they can or come into this elevated basket on a nice big pushing hyzer to put themselves in range for a slightly elevated putt that can get pretty hairy from the edge of circle, Kyle.
Yeah, look, most of these guys should be throwing mid-ranges or putters, so shouldn't be leaving themselves with too much of a putt.
Ryan leaves himself a little short there.
Yeah, just edge of circle, so a bit more than he would have hoped for.
And for those unfamiliar, the tall pole's been left in since Victoria opened 2023 earlier in the year, and it actually makes this whole play a little trickier than it used to. That's for sure. A lot more thought goes into placement on the green if the wind is up. So.
Yeah, it's been a great addition to this hole, I think, since the Vic Open, and certainly started a trend I've seen around the country of people needing to have an elevated basket at tournaments now.
Yeah, definitely a good addition, adding a little bit of spice to what was a fairly straightforward hole beforehand. No dice there for Rhino, catching high and a little bit left and splashing out.
Yeah, the tall pole here just makes these 9-meter putts feel a lot tougher than they are if it's down low. You got to think about pace and everything, so you're not running. If you're missing the putt, you're not running past to another missed putt on the other side. So these guys all sort of moused that first putt to make sure they weren't leaving it too far long.
As Ryan Michell squeaks that comebacker in.
Yeah, and quite interestingly, as you mentioned on the first hole, Kyle, we've got, I guess, 1.5 lefties involved in this card, with Ryan Michell and Ryan Budge putting left-handed.
Yeah, it took me about 12 holes to work it out and connect the dots between, oh, wait, that's Heisering from here. But yeah, 1.5 lefties as we move into hole 3, which is a bit of an anti-lefty hole unless you're Daz. A bit of a creative line for this 100-meter par 3. Flirting with some water, but otherwise a fairly straightforward backhand hyzer for the right-hander. What's your approach to this one typically, Daz?
Yeah, for the righties, they're looking just to miss that fairway tree that's about 75 up on the right edge of the fairway. But at the same time, you've got to be either going around the back like Ryan did there, or not pushing too far left because the water comes into play real quick if you miss that line inside. So.
Budgie hanging it very wide and just coming back.
We're going to look at this lefty line.
Trying the turnover with his Undertaker and collecting a very early tree.
Yeah, that's not the best spot to be with from one on this hole. Let's see if we can work it out.
Again, using all that physiotherapist core strength. Giving that a good rip.
Oh, what?
Wow.
Awesome.
What a shot.
Okay, that's one way to get a 2 on this hole.
We take another look from Catch Care's perspective. Very awkward pattern pending stance with his Toro.
Plenty of rip on it, yeah.
No chain.
Fantastic.
Just dunks it in. That's it. Like Daz says, that's one way to do it.
Yeah, as you're getting going in disc golf, that's not the way to do it. Just so everyone knows. Awesome, huh?
No pictures on the scorecard, but maybe this video.
Rhino left himself a bit of a putt.
Us a good run. Good bid. So you can see behind the basket there, the grass slopes up towards the water, but it's got a fair bit of distance to the actual wetness, so you've got a bit of space to run that putt from the right.
Yeah, it's just sort of edge of circle from memory, I think, isn't it?
It is,
just
yeah.
inside the
high
way,
left
yeah.
side. But it's pretty hard to get there unless you're really airballing high. Those guys both probably want another crack at that one.
Yeah, so we move into hole 4. Another gettable par 3 sitting at 85 metres. couple of main gaps, can either go left or right through the trees with some OB along the left-hand side creek and running behind the basket at about 7 or 8 metres. Other than that, pick a gap and commit to it, and you should have a look for the birdie.
There's certainly a few plays here.
Yeah.
There's certainly a few plays here. Like you can go sort of left gap, straight gap. There's even a bit of a right gap around the biggest tree, but you just got to hit one of them. Otherwise, if you get cleaned up halfway up this fairway, it makes par even a little bit tricky. So.
Budgie's just turned that one straight over and finds the OB. Have a bit of a tricky upshot to save bogey.
Yeah, and that OB behind looks like it was playing on the day, which can... Oh, that's OB left. But yeah, that OB really brings in that danger of sliding long too. Budgie slides that up
like
there
Ryan
nicely.
Michell just stayed in bounds there.
As did Ryan Hart.
Oh.
Wow.
They're really testing out that OB line.
Oh, sorry, yes, I see. He slid outside the circle, not outside the OB. That's my am eyes playing up on me there.
Good clean.
Oh, no, dunks that one.
Bit of an errant run from circle 2. Again, bit of a slow start for the card here. Sure, if they could have it, they'd definitely take these first 4 holes again and try and capitalise again.
Yeah, there's a few of the easier birdies on those first couple holes here, so you'd want to have a couple under the bag already.
Yeah, as we move into hole 5, we're going to get our first look at the famous lake. Par 4, 185 metres. So players are going to have the option of bombing one over the lake and trying to get it into the circle, or playing up through the first tree gap you see, and setting themselves up for a straight up shot onto the green. So eagle opportunity here if you're long enough. So Rhino fancies himself.
Yeah, I think this was him going for the normal gap, but then his body told him yes and yanked it a bit right. But still managed to find dry land just. Having no part of that lake is Ryan Michell, pushing it out wide through the left-hander gap.
Yeah, the left side's definitely a safer play off the tee. Not a lot of risk there, and you still get a pretty clean shot in at the green from there, as long as you're long enough past the big leafless tree in wintertime.
Big leafless tree that just before Ryan played this shot ate our drone. So RIP PRKD Media drone, still up there.
Oh, goodness. Budgie's just coming up short again. Not quite giving it all the commitment.
It's a pretty common miss on this green to pull up a little short, knowing there's OB sort of 12 meters along in the basket. So guys sort of saw it off occasionally a bit early just to keep it safe from the OB, but or not.
Not in that case. Commentator's curse.
Yeah.
I tell you what, just looking at Budgie here, he spin putts and just stays in. If there's an award for colour coordination on the disc golf course, I reckon Budgie's taken it out today. From that khaki jacket to the blue trousers, it basically matches every disc in his bag and his bag. So it's a man after my own heart there. And case in point.
So that was a birdie there for Ryan?
Yeah, just sneaking it in. It's been a 3 in a row, just not super confident, but he's getting them in, so that's all that counts. Hole 6 now, par 4, 225 metres. For those of you who played the Vic Open, you'll remember this as the first hole for that tournament. Very challenging tee shot with a low ceiling throughout. Want to punch something up as far as you can through this first corridor, and then around the corner with the Mando on the left towards the basket tucked in the back tree line. A lot of skips to be found on that second shot approach. Just a matter of controlling the disc up to the green there. Really not the mistake you want to make on this hole. Heading high and early and making no forward advancement is going to leave Ryan quite out of position and be a tough scramble for par.
Yeah. Ryan looking like he was thinking about a roller. And he has done it anyway.
Straight through his legs.
As he nutmegs our catch cam operator.
Looks like you got a good bit of distance off there.
He did, yeah. That's basically up to the second or third last tree on the right-hand side is where that's ended up. Just sailing up high, a bit nose up. Bit of work to do for Ryan Michell here.
Yeah, this whole play is really...
Ryan Budge throwing the forehand roller Hail Mary, and it looks like has he gone past the Mando line? Don't think
just
he has.
Short, so he'll have a pitch out into the centre of the fairway. Ryan Michell, on the other hand, blasting past that Mando.
That was a great shot.
Fantastic approach.
Put himself inside circle.
Yeah, Budgie just making sure he stays on the right side of that Mando tree.
If my counting is right, Ryan Hart's got a few strokes on both these guys at the moment, looking to pile on.
Yeah, this was not a great hole for either Budgie or Ryan Michell, both.
Ryan Hart actually lining up a birdie here. That's a great birdie.
Absolutely cashes it.
One of the only 2 birdies on this hole in the first round in the MPO field, so good going by him.
Chris Ronald's the other.
Yeah, I think Chris might have said that was the first time he's ever birdied this hole too, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Good time to do it.
I think Rhino was a very similar story. He made a comment walking up the fairway that this is the best he's ever played this hole. So probably another first-time birdie as well.
So we see Ryan Michell
Budgie
taking
takes a
8 on that
6
hole.
there.
And Budgie with the double bogey, yeah. So let's see what they can do to hole 7, which is a par 3. We're looking at 80 metres. A lot of guardian trees all over the fairway here. So right-handers will be looking to push it through the straight gap, and lefties will pretty much be looking to do the same thing. There is a forehand line around the left-hand side if you game, but otherwise it's just a straight putter shot, right?
So you get a very nice look at that gap.
Yeah, that's well played there by Ryan. This is a pretty quick green as well, so you almost need to be landing short of the flag to slide up to it rather than actually pinning the distance. You'll see often guys sliding through to 12, 15 meters long just because the green's so quick.
I think Budgie took your advice a bit too literally, Daz. Halfway down the fairway is not as short as you want it, but snuck up there to the edge of circle.
More flair than Woodstock on that skip.
So Ryan will find himself with a bit of an obstructed putt. Not the end of the world, but gave himself a very difficult putt to try and capitalise on the birdie, as Rhino will take the only birdie on this card. 1 of 3 on the day.
Chris Ronalds again. And Cassie Sweeten.
Very well played. Congrats on Cassie jumping up to MPO for the tournament and putting together a pretty good couple of rounds. Played very well. Hole 8 now, the classic Ballarat hole. The pick a gap, commit to it, and still catch a late tree. 80 metres. There's a left gap, there's a straight gap, there's plenty of trees to hit, but so long as you land a little bit close to the green, you should slide up to inside of circle, or hopefully parked, as these guys will try and show you. Ryan Hart leading off the bunch.
Slides to about edge of circle there. We wanted a bit more height on it, a bit more push.
That's a pretty common landing zone for a right-hand backhand shot that gets all the way down as it sort of slides out left a little.
Yeah, I see Budgie probably hoping for a little bit more flex on that one with that anti-release. Bring it back a little. So we get a look at the full Ryan Michell routine. Methodical approach.
He plays a shot I have never actually seen a lefty throw before, so that's something I need to look at next time I'm there.
Oh. So Ryan finds that top band. He's been close on quite a few now, Rhino, but just not quite dialed.
That turkey for Ryan Hart, 3 birdies in a row.
No, I didn't get that one there.
Yeah, he took a par there.
Of course, sorry.
That's right.
He's probably over it by now. That's fine.
I'm sure he would have liked it, but we'll see if he
Hole
can.
9. Hole 9, par 3, 90 metres. So, again, there's a few gaps here. It's basically the reverse of the previous hole, except we're heading up the hill. And, again, it's pick a gap, any gap. There's a nice forehand gap for a right-hand or a left-hand backhand gap to get around and slide up to this green. It's a fun one, this hole, to finish your front 9.
Again, Ryan Hart showing us the line less travelled. Just skipping to inside of circle there.
Yeah, as we see a disc sitting in the circle already when these guys have played up this hole. Any idea what that might be, Darren?
Just a missed putt, I think, by me that got left behind. Not really sure what happened there.
It was
Catch
very
cam doing the
confusing.
business.
Very confusing for the catch cam operator. Ryan pushing a little long there, but he'll give himself an edge of circle putt through those trees. Budgie with a bit of work to do.
I looked very good for a good while. Just not quite the distance.
Oh, that was a good putt. Quite obstructed. Had to give it a bit of height up and out of the branches as well. So high degree of difficulty there. Well done.
So you get to take another look. Nice bit of pop out of the wrist. Finds dead centre. Be very happy with that.
It's the sort of putt that keeps you coming back next week, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Budgie and Rhino tap in their pars. Again, one of the birdies that's probably a bit more gettable for these guys, so probably a bit disappointed, but that brings us to the close of the front 9, as Ryan Hart leads the way at 1 under, currently in solo second place. Ryan Michell and Ryan Budge struggling a bit more, +3 and +4 respectively. So they'll look to make some improvements coming into this back 9.
Yeah, a bit of work to do for the boys here, but lots of birdies to come.
Absolutely. As we take a quick look at how everyone else finished through this front 9. Chris Ronalds out to an early lead with a very hot 3 under through the front 9. Daz, you're up there, sticking around.
Yeah. Even's not too bad. That's sort of a bit of a log jam at even one over par with Cassie hanging on 1 over as well. Lots of work to be done on the back 9 for everyone.
Absolutely. So stick around and catch us then as Daz joins us again for the back 9 of round 1 at Big Wet.